Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Lewis Burns Jr. here out of Columbia, South Carolina, and I want to say welcome. I want to say welcome to some training modules that we're going to do today. And the overall goal of these modules is to help you make a lot of money in final expense. Now, one of the things you'll figure out real quickly is that I'm not a professional speaker. What I am is a final expense agent. So I'm going to take the next few moments and try to help yourself make money in final expense. Now let's talk about final expense for a second. Let's talk about why you want to be in final expense compared to some of the other markets. First of all, you have 11,000 people, over 11,000 people turning 65 every single day. Secondly, we have a product that everyone is going to need. It doesn't matter whether they buy a home or whether they work at a certain plant or whatever. In our final expense business, they're going to die, and when they die, they need a policy. The other thing that you want to do too is that we focus in on the 50 to 85-year-old market. It's a very serious-minded market. Very, very serious-minded. They've seen death. They've had maybe loved ones to die, family members, maybe a parent, maybe a child, and they understand how important it is to have that final expense policy. Secondly, when it comes to cash flow, most of our seniors have some type of ongoing check going on, whether it's Social Security, whether it's a pension, whether it's a retirement. They have income coming in. So from a clientele standpoint, and what you're looking at, what you're trying to develop, is you got to understand that you want to be able to offer a policy to a person that needs it, and because they're going to die, they're going to need it, and they also have enough money in order to afford that monthly premium. So I'm excited today. I'm excited that you decided to listen in. I would ask that you be open-minded to this business. I would ask that you understand that there might be ways of making money that you're not familiar with, okay? All right, sounds good though. So a couple of things, guys, I want to cover. I have some notes here so that I can stay on point, all right? The first thing is that we want to talk about leads. In this business right here, you want to make sure that you have people to talk to. If you're looking at other opportunities, there's a great chance that they do not have a sustainable lead system. And I will tell you that we're a lead-generated belief agency and company. We believe in leads. And the reason that we believe in leads, think about something for a second. Do you want to talk to a person that does not want to talk to you, that has not shown an interest in getting a final expense policy, or would you like to talk to a person that has seen a TV commercial and they've called in and they've given us their name, their address, their date of birth, their telephone number, and their email address, and they saw this commercial and they're waiting on you to call back? Or would you want to talk to a person that got something in the mail, they took their precious time to complete it, put it back into an envelope and send it out? Those are serious-minded people. And in our system, we can generate leads anywhere. I will tell you that if you try to do this business without leads, you're making a fatal error in this business. We haven't run into really anybody that has had extreme success in this business that's not on a lead system. And one of the things that you want to do too, now there are some companies out there, and I'm not going to be negative, but there's some companies out there that have leads, but the leads are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. They've sold them to everybody. They've sold them 15 times, and they're going to sell them to you. In our system right here, our leads are only giving to you. And in addition to that, these are usually fresh leads. Okay, we do have some follow-up leads, but we let you know up front that these leads are follow-up. Now guys, one thing that's really important is your mindset. When I sit down with Mrs. Jones, that client, I'm already on the understanding that she needs my policy. She needs what I have. I understand that. And so when I sit down with her, I'm going to be intentional to run her through the process on why it would be in her best interest in order to purchase this particular product today. That's really, really important. A lot of agents sit down with clients, and what happens is that they think that the client does not want to buy. And so what they do is they spend a lot of time in the wrong mindset. And guys, let me share something with you about this business. It's 100% mindset. If you decide that you're going to be successful in this business, you will be successful. If you decide that you will not be successful, guess what? You won't be successful. So guys, we're going to encourage you to listen in. There are going to be some things that I'm going to say today that you might not have heard. And even if you've been in this business before and you've had some success, we ask that you still listen in. I do want to say as a disclaimer, and this is not the most that's ever been done, in personal production, I've written as much as over $40,000 in a single month. And in that same single month, I hired 25 agents. Okay? And that doesn't make me a superstar. It just makes me very, very good in final expense. And what my goal to you is to help you also become successful. I want to take a few minutes to you and talk to you about what is a lead. Now, there's a guy named Randall Baskins that has a book called Growing Rich. We're going to encourage you to read that, along with some other books we'll talk about a little bit later. But Randall Baskin took a piece of paper one time, and he wrote the name Michael Burns, just a made-up name on a piece of paper. He drove 3 hours away and started asking people, do you know Michael Burns? Do you know Michael Burns? One person tried to give him directions to Michael Burns' house. Okay, a made-up name. Randall Baskins ended up selling 6 policies that day by making up that name. What I want to make sure you understand that a lead, here's the lead's job. A lead's job is just to get you out of the home. If you're under the impression that leads are just going to lay down and buy, you're making a fatal error in your business, okay? Now, leads are important. Leads are important because leads will do 2 things. 25% of the leads pretty much will buy. If you get really good, you might can close 50% of the leads. We have some folks on our team like Shiraka and some other folks that really do a very good job on closing leads. But here's what's going to happen. 33% of the lead's neighbor will buy. All right, 25% of the leads, 33% of the neighbors, and 50% of the referrals will buy. So doing my Eau Claire math, okay, that means that I have a 108% chance of making a sale off each lead if I follow the system. The lead's job is to get you out of the door and give you an opportunity to talk to someone. And sometimes it's not necessarily the lead. Here's what happens sometimes. So I go out and see the lead, and they're not home or they're not interested, and I see the neighbor in the yard and I say, hey, I was over here helping Mr. Burns with his information, and I want to see if you got into our little program yet. And they say, what program? And I go in and I do a presentation and I make a sale. Now, most lay agents, most unexperienced agents will say, well, the lead didn't buy and I sold it to the neighbor and they think it's all because of them. No, the lead did exactly what it was supposed to do. It got you out of the house, it got you on the right street, and the only reason you sold that neighbor is because of that lead. If you would not have had that lead, you would not have talked to that neighbor, you would not have been on that right street. So that's why leads are so important. I have a young lady right now that does not understand. I have a lot of young ladies and young men that don't understand how important is the lead. Leads are your friend. Leads are your inventory. I'll give you a real quick example. If you and I started a convenience store and one of the food companies came in and said, hey, listen, we're going to stock your store. Nah, that's okay. How much is it? $10,000? No, we just don't have that type of money in order to do that. Do you understand that our convenience store will be shut down? Do you understand that we wouldn't have any sales? We can't buy one Snicker and think that we're going to make some money. We're going to be in trouble. Okay? Now, the great thing about our lead program, guys, is that we can finance your leads. We can finance your leads, and in addition to that, we can delay finance your leads. We actually can give you a set of leads today, which is Wednesday, August the 1st, and then do not charge your commission statement. Not your bank account, not your checking account, not your savings account, not your credit card, but your commission statement, the commissions that we're going to pay you to help pay for your leads. We won't charge you for 12 days. So there won't be any lead charges until August 13th. So any money you make between today and Monday after next, you get to keep 100% of that, even if it came from the leads. What a tremendous, tremendous deal, guys. Most companies, when you buy leads, they ask for upfront money, they want your credit card, they want your checking account, and you got to pay for these things up front. Guys, we'll do mail drops anywhere in the country for you to help you out. Now, we're going to make sure that you understand the lead process. And if you do, you're going to get rich in this business, guys. A couple other things. All right. Let's talk about how to order leads. All right, leads. The best day to order leads are on Wednesdays. All right, and the reason for that is you get your longest period of time before the leads hit your commission account. And what I mean by hit your commission account is this: on the Monday after next, which is if the day is the 1st, August 1st, 2018, then on August 13th, 2018, your lead charges will hit your commission account. And so anything I make on the 13th, they'll just wipe it out, okay? But it won't come out of my pocket, all right? Because I've made sales, I've kept money, I've gotten referrals, I've teed the lead, we'll talk about that in a second, and I've done everything I possibly could do to put these people in benefits. So when you're ordering leads, the best thing for you to do is order them on Wednesday. In addition to that, you want to send an email to your manager, and in the subject, you want to have your name and your agent code, and in the body of the email, you want to tell your manager what leads that you want. Now, your manager has an inventory list that they normally will send out to you on Tuesday evening. So it's a first come, first serve type of situation. So you want to get your lead order in early, and you want to consistently order leads. Even if you have not resolved all your leads from one week to the next week, you still want to order another set of leads because it's your inventory. You will, for some leads, it will take a month or two to catch up with people. I talked with a lady yesterday, and she's in the Houston, Texas area. And what happened is that she ordered a set of leads 2 weeks ago and could not catch up with the person. Finally caught up with them yesterday morning and wrote them up. So these people will eventually buy if you catch up with them. As far as printing your leads, what you need to do, you would go into your agent portal. You would go under agent information. You would go under archive documents. And then you will see your leads. Now you got to make sure that your computer is compatible. Sometimes when it comes out, it looks like Chinese. That's either you're not going through what Chrome's or Mozilla or Firefox. Internet Explorer is not something that you're going to be able to go through in order to get to your leads and look at them. All right. Now you always want to print your leads. Here's why. When I go to Mr. Jones' house, I want to have that piece of paper in my hand. Whether it's a TV lead or a direct mail lead, I want to have that piece of paper so I can show Mr. Jones. And it also builds credibility. Yeah, I'm not just some random stranger stopping by the house and saying, hey, I think you ordered some lead or sent some information to my company. I actually have proof of it right there. Okay? Putting leads in order. What you want to do, if you got a set of 10 leads, and normally a minimum of 10 leads is needed to place an order, you want to go ahead and put it into some type of router. Map router, MapQuest has a router, so that you're not traveling from one side of the town to the other side of the town. If you do that, it actually will put them in order on what should be the first house that you should stop by, what should be the second house, what should be the third house. Now, I will tell you, when it comes to leads, you have to tee the leads. Let me tell you what that means. What teeing the leads means is that I'm going to talk to the neighbors to the left, the right, and across the street. You must tee the leads in order to be successful in filing expense. If you don't tee these leads, you're not going to make any money. In addition to that, you must get referrals. You must. You have to. It is part of the system. If you don't get the referrals and you don't tee the leads, then you're going to have a problem. You're not going to make a lot of money. But if you do that, guys, you can write anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 every single month in filing expense. And you can be rich in filing expense. Guys, when it comes to traveling to see the lead, first of all, we're going to encourage you, never go any more than 20 or 30 miles for one lead. That's the first thing. I'm going to give you an example. I had a guy out of Texas. He went 81 miles to see the lead. He didn't book the appointment, which is fine. And he gets to the lead's house, and they had moved to North Carolina. And he was mad at me. I said, no, boy, I never told you to do that. See, one of the things that we can do, if you have a lead and that's the only lead that you have that distance away, we can get you some other leads in order to talk to some other people. In addition to that, if I only have one lead, I'm probably going to maybe make an appointment with that person. Now, one of the things that you want to do as far as traveling to see the leads is you basically want to just do a circle. And what I mean by that is this. If my MapQuest router says stop at Mrs. Jones' house first, I knock on her door, she's not home, then I go to my second lead, then I go to my third lead, and I go to my fourth lead. I'm doing basically a circle. And then I'm going to come back to Mrs. Jones' house probably in the middle of the day to see whether she's home or not. All right, and then I'm going to leave, I can leave delivery notices on the door. Now here's the deal with that. If I leave a delivery notice on the door and Mrs. Jones called me, I'm not going to answer the phone. I know that she's home now, and if I got time and I can kind of change some things now that I know I have somebody home, I will go directly back over to her house in order to deliver the information that she requested. Now this is really important, guys, and this is going to help you out with mindset. Remember, you're not out there trying to sell people anything. What you're out there doing is providing information that they requested, either from the TV commercial or from the direct mail. We're not looking for hardcore salespeople. We're looking for explainers, people that can explain our product. We have a tremendous product. While Legacy Assurance, guys, is a proprietary product, we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the program. But you have a proprietary product that everybody needs, and they've asked for that information. It makes it a perfect situation. Guys, let's talk about the number of presentations a week. Presentations dictate sales. I can go ahead and tell you, based off the number of presentations that you do a week, on how much money you're going to make. Let me give you a figure. We have shown historically over the last 20 years of looking at presentations that if you do 15 presentations a week in our lead system, you're going to make on average $2,000 a week in your pocket. Let me say it again. If you do 15 presentations, you're going to make an average of $2,000 a week. Now, when you get really good, you do 15 presentations, you're going to make $3,000 or $4,000, but just even the beginners will make $2,000. Think about that for a second. Now, here's the great news. Our presentations only last about an hour. So you do the math. So basically, even including drive time and everything, I could work this business 30 or 40 hours a week and make at least $2,000 in my pocket, even after lead costs. What an exciting time, guys. And here's my question to you. How many opportunities, how many jobs, how many careers are saying that they're going to pay you over $100,000 to work 30 or 40 hours a week? You don't have to have any kind of special doctorate degree or master's degree. You don't even have to have a high school diploma. Okay? You just have to have a sincere desire in order to succeed, and you've got to want to win. And losing is not an option, quitting is not an option, and my God, I'm going to do whatever it takes in order to be successful in this business.
Hey everybody, hope y'all doing well. My name is Michael Burns and I'm Director of Agency here at Consolidated Planning. And today what I'm going to be doing is going over what to do at the door. Alright, and it's very, very simple, you guys. When you go to the door, you have two goals. Your first goal is to do a presentation. Now if you can't do a presentation, your second goal is to set an appointment. Alright? You don't want to be selling at the door. You don't want to be giving too much information at the door. You want to be kind of vague and either set an appointment or do a presentation. Alright, so at the door, the script is very, very simple. It goes just like this. You take your lead in hand and you knock on the door, okay? Knock, knock, knock. The prospect comes to the door. You say, hey, Miss Jones, how you doing today? She says, oh, I'm doing good. I say, okay, great. My name is Michael Burns and I'm with the Senior Care Plan. You sent this card in requesting some information and I'm here to deliver it to you. You got a minute? And then you step forward, okay? Assume that you're going to get into the door, alright? Smile, have a good demeanor, okay? You don't want to be slouched over with a low voice, not, just projecting bad energy, okay? It's very important that you have good energy, your chest is up, and that you're saying things very clearly, very confidently. Like I said, expect to get into the door. Alright? Now a few objections can come up at the door and they're very easy to overcome, alright? The first thing they can say is, well, I don't have time right now. Alright? And if someone says that, you say, no problem. The only reason I'm here today is because I was helping out your neighbor down the street. I usually work by appointment only anyways. I'll be back in your area later today and tomorrow. Is morning or afternoon better for you? Now it's very important that you say those exact words because you want to pin them down. What you don't want to do is say, well, when's a good time for me to come back, or when are you free? Because what they're going to say is, give me your card, give me your number, and I'll call you. Alright? And that's going to be never. So it's very important that you set a definite time for you to come back and never set appointments more than 48 hours in advance. Alright? If it's Monday, don't set an appointment for Friday. It's just not a good idea. Okay? The second thing they can say is, well, what's this about? And what I'll say is, well, it's about this card you filled out, Miss Jones. you filled it out a little while ago, requested some information to our company. My job's real simple. It's just to go over this information with you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You don't have to buy anything. If it's something for you, great. If not, no big deal. All right? And that's a very, very good thing for you to say. If it's something for you, great. If not, no big deal. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You don't have to buy anything. And also say, you don't have to have any money to sit down with me. Those are good things to say at the door. All right? Now, your goal is just to get in and do the presentation. All right? The next thing you can say is, well, is this insurance? And if they ever say that, what you need to say is, why, Miss Jones, do you need some insurance? And if she says, no, I got all the insurance I need, you say, okay, great. Well, I'm actually not here to talk to you about insurance. I'm here to talk about legacy assurance. It's something that'll go really, really great with your insurance. All right? Like I said, my job is real simple. It's just to go over the information with you. You got a minute? All right. Next thing they can say is, well, I don't remember sending that in. And what I'll say is, okay, well, your name is Miss Jones, right? And this is 123 Washington Street, right? Okay. Well, hey, look, don't worry about it. I don't remember what I did yesterday, Miss Jones. Like I said, my job's real simple. It's just to deliver some information to you. You don't have to buy anything. If it's something for you, great. If not, no big deal. All right? And then go on in. Always expect to go in, all right? You guys got to have the energy projecting forward going in, all right? The last thing they can really say is, well, I'm not interested, or I don't want that, or something of that nature. And what I'll say is, well, Miss Jones, what exactly aren't you interested in? Because they really don't know. They don't know what you got. So they say, whatever, I'm not interested in what you're selling, I don't want what you got. I'll say, okay, Miss Jones, no big deal. Most people I talk to say that. However, Miss Jones, this is a state-regulated program, and the state of South Carolina takes this very, very seriously. So until I get you this information, your name's going to be on the list, all right? So if you want your name crossed off the list, no one to come in, be in your hair anymore, just let me go over this information with you. It'll only take a second. You don't have to buy anything, and I'll get your name crossed right off the list, all right? Next thing I want to go over with you is the warm-up, all right? After you get in the door, you need to warm up with the prospect. It's very, very important that the prospect likes you and trusts you. If they don't like you, if they don't trust you, they're not going to buy. All right? It's just that simple. Now, when you warm up, basically what you want to do is talk about everything except insurance. Everything except getting down to business. All right? Now, if you see some pictures on the wall, you see a nice car outside, some flowers, a boat, you want to talk about those things. You want to talk about how long they live in the area, where they moved from, do they like living in South Carolina, what kind of work did they do or do they do, how they get into it, are they retired, are they getting Social Security, things like that, all right? You just want to talk about everything that's not insurance, all right? And you want to make them feel like you're their friend, all right? Y'all are cousins, friends, whatever, all right? I like to laugh and joke and have fun with them. All right, tell a bunch of jokes, get them laughing, just to get them at ease. All right, and at the end of the warm-up, it's very, very important, I think, to go ahead and ask them to grab you a glass of water. All right, you want to get them in the mood of getting up and giving you things. All right, and they get you a glass of water, they'll give you a check. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next thing I want to go over with y'all is the survey. The survey is a very, very important tool, and it's going to help you find out a lot of information about your prospect. Now, it's very important that we fill out the entire survey, all right? But there's a couple things that I just want to highlight. Now, remember, do the entire survey. Now, the first question is the most important question. What did you have in mind when you sent this in? I'd like to ask, Ms. Jones, what were your thoughts and concerns when you filled this card out? Or what were your thoughts and concerns when you called into the TV station? All right, you want to get them talking about why they did it. And I just wanted some information. That's not really good enough. All right, they say that. I'll say, well, Ms. Jones, there had to be something on your mind whenever you filled it out. Could you tell me a little bit more? All right. Now, it's very important that you get that out of them. All right, you want to have the why. And say no why, no buy. Questions 2 and 3 kind of dive into their funeral history. All right, and it's very, very important, guys, that you get them talking about their funeral history. Who's died recently? How was the funeral? Did they have insurance? Did they have enough insurance? Have you ever had to pay for a funeral? Do you know how much funerals are costing nowadays? You want them talking about funerals and funeral history. All right? Questions 4 and 5 are talking about beneficiaries. Very, very important that you get the beneficiary's name so you can use their name. All right? Moving on, it's talking about, will anybody be responsible for paying? And is anybody helping them make their financial decisions? All right, it's very important that you do that, because you don't want to come to the end and they say, well, you know, I got to talk to my daughter about it, and you never got them to tell you that they make their own financial decisions. Now, I usually ask it like this, though. Now, Ms. Jones, you do usually make your own financial decisions, right? You want to ask it in an assumptive manner so they can go ahead and say yes, and that objection doesn't come up. And if it does come up, you can remind them that they told you that they make their own financial decisions. Moving on, you really, guys, it's very important. I can't say really enough because it's that important. Find out about other policies. If they have them, if so, you need them to grab them for you. You don't ask, you tell them. Say, Ms. Jones, I need you to grab that for me. All right, and if they resist, what you want to do, or they say they can't find it, what you want to do is call the company. All right, now if they resist, you tell them that it's state law, that you review the policy, and that you needed to grab them for it. You need them to grab it for you. All right, it's very, very important, guys. In reviewing the policy, there's a couple things you want to look for. You're going to look for term, adjustable, flexible, universal. Those type of policies are not bad policies per se, but what's going to happen as these folks get older is that they're going to implode, explode, whatever. They're just not going to be able to afford those policies. I was sitting down with a gentleman not too long ago, and he had a policy, and he told me that the policy carried him to 95, and it was a $100,000 policy. He was paying around $90 a month. So I told him to go grab it for me, and when I looked over the policy, I could see, yeah, the policy was good till 95, but when he turned 70, he went from paying $90 a month to over $800 a month. And he had no idea. So when I showed him that, I said, sir, are you going to be able to afford that $800 a month premium? And of course he said, absolutely not. So what it did was it gave him more of a reason to go ahead and move forward with my policy, because it's never going to change and it's going to go ahead and lock him in. All right, what you want people to do is ensure their insurability. He qualified for first day coverage today when he was sitting down with me. Whenever he turns 70, that might not be the case, and there's a good chance it won't be the case because people's health change like that, and you want to let them know that. Moving on, it's very, very important that you find out whether or not they have a bank account, and if they don't have a bank account, whether they're willing to get one. All right, and you just don't want to say, "Hey, Mr. Jones, you got an account?" Okay, you want to kind of tiptoe around it a little bit more. All right, now during the warm-up, you found a lot about him. You found out whether he's still working. You found out if he's getting disability or Social Security or retirement check from somewhere. All right, now what you want to do is say, "Now, Mr. Jones, you told me you're getting that Social Security check and that retirement check every month, right?" You're gonna say, "Yeah." You say, "All right, does that check usually go to your bank?" All right, and he says, "Yes." That's it. Boom. All right. You can also ask, how do they usually pay their monthly bills? That's a good way to ask as well. All right. Moving on, you want to ask about their monthly income, all right, so you can kind of gauge. Now, what we don't do is oversell these folks, all right? If you want good persistency, it's very, very important that you don't oversell these folks, all right? You don't want to sell no more than 5 to 7% of their monthly budget, all right? And if you don't do that, if you keep it within 5 to 7%, the policy is going to stay on the books, all right? Moving on, health is very important, and health is very, very easy. All you want to ask them is that in the last 10 years, if they've been hospitalized, and if so, for what? All right. Ask them, do they smoke? And ask them to grab you all the medications they're taking and they're prescribed to. All right. It's that easy, guys. Survey is very important. It's going to help you find out a lot of information about these folks so you can go ahead and move forward and close the sale. Remember, ask every single question. Fill out the entire survey. It's very important that we do that. In the same state or a better state as when I got here today. If not, I can lose my license and I can even go to jail. All right, and I look good, but I don't look good on the side of the road picking up cans. So I'm gonna make sure that don't happen. All right, I kind of make a little joke, just laugh. All right. One thing that's very important during your presentation is that you're kind of loose. All right, you don't want to be so uptight and just, you know, act like you've been here before, like you done did it before. All right. What I love to tell people too is, I've been doing this a long, long time. Just make them feel at ease, all right? But this is a very, very important thing because it gets them to trust you, all right? You want them to like you, but it's just as, if not more important, that they trust you, all right? If they trust you, you'll be able to get the account number, social number, all that stuff. They only give those things to people they trust, all right, guys? So it's very, very important. All right, so moving on. Legacy assurance. Legacy assurance is what we sell, and insurance just comes with it. Legacy, 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 legacy. Can't say it enough, guys. You guys gotta get really skilled at talking about legacy and telling people what it does. All right, I'm gonna help you with that today. So what I'll say is, all right, Ms. Jones, well, next thing I want to go over with you is a product that I'm very, very excited about, and that product is Legacy Assurance, and I'm very excited about it because it's helping a lot of people save a lot of money. All right? What is Legacy Assurance? Legacy Assurance is, and I just read the About Us, word for word, verbatim, all right? At the end of the About Us, I go into explaining Legacy Assurance in my own words, all right? I stop right after the About Us, I read this verbatim, all right? Now, when I'm going over legacy in my own words, I'll say something like this. Now, Ms. Jones, I'm not here to talk bad about anybody or downplay anybody's profession, but we can both agree that funeral homes and funeral directors, they're in business to make a profit. Do you agree with that? She says, yes, yeah, I agree with that. I'll say, you know, if you walked into a funeral home with a $15,000 or $20,000 policy, do you think they'd have a problem charging you $15,000 or $20,000 for a funeral? She's gonna say, oh, no, not at all. I'll say, exactly right. And what's the first thing they usually ask you whenever you're going to have a funeral or do a funeral? Do you know? And she's gonna say, do you have insurance? I'll say, exactly. You know, that's kind of how they gauge how much they're gonna charge you for your funeral, all right? You won't believe what I've seen people pay in Columbia, South Carolina for their funerals. And those people usually, more times than not, had a big policy, all right? Now think about it, Ms. Jones. Whenever you die, Chris is going to be distraught, all right? That's the beneficiary's name. Make sure you use it. Chris is going to be distraught, all right? He's not going to be in a position to haggle and negotiate and try to get the best deal on your funeral, all right? And that's where Legacy Assurance comes in, all right? What Legacy Assurance is going to do is they're going to make it a business-to-business deal and not a business-to-emotional loved ones transaction, all right? Not a business-to-emotional loved ones transaction. That's what I usually say, all right? And what that usually does is going to save you anywhere from 25 to 85%, all right? Really about 35 to 85% off your funeral, all right? Now, how does Legacy do that? Legacy is going to do three things, all right? They do it very, very well. The first thing they're going to do is price shop your funeral, Ms. Jones. Now, you're going to have your funeral home of choice, all right? You're going to call some other local funeral homes in the area, and they're going to say, hey, this is Mike with Legacy Assurance. One of our members passed away. They said they want to do business with you guys, but we're kind of shopping around. So send us your best rate, all right? They're going to call around, all right, and get the best rate possible. And they're going to do all that within 1 hour, Ms. Jones. Now, it's very, very important, Ms. Jones, when you become a member of Legacy, you're going to get a card. Make sure Chris has that card and he calls Legacy first whenever you pass away. Don't call the funeral home first and let them grab the body, because that's going to put Legacy at a disadvantage when it comes to negotiating your funeral, all right? The second thing they're going to do is negotiate. They're going to get the price list, all right, and see whichever funeral home Chris wants to go to. He's going to be in control the whole time, all right? So he picks his funeral home that he wants to go to. And if there's anything on that itemized price list that can maybe come down a little bit, Legacy's going to further negotiate that and see if they can bring it down a couple $100s. The third thing they're going to do is they're going to provide your casket, your vault, and your monument for a guaranteed price of $3,500, Ms. Jones. So whether you die tonight or whether you die 20 years from now, Ms. Jones, your casket, your vault, and your monument will be a guaranteed price of $3,500. Isn't that a great deal? You're going to say, yeah, that's a great deal. I'm saying, Ms. Jones, and these are top of the line, industry standard, 18 gauge steel caskets, all right? Beautiful caskets. These same caskets cost $5,000 in the funeral home all day, every day, all right? This is our fiberglass vault, 100-year warranty, 20,000 pounds of pressure, all right? So if somebody was going to dig you up 100 years from now, this vault's still going to be intact, guaranteed. All right, these are our headstones, not all of them, but just our most popular ones, all right? And these aren't all the caskets either. You actually have over 250 caskets to choose from. We even have plus-size caskets and different types of wood for different folks. I know some prefer different kind of wood. 250 caskets to choose from, all right? Now, after you do that, what you want to do is show the legacy video, all right? The legacy video is a great tool to use, and you guys really want to be showing that on every single presentation, all right? At the end of the legacy video, I always say, Ms. Jones, that was a great video right there. I don't know about you, but I want my family members to say the same thing about me whenever I pass away. Alright, y'all, the next thing I'm going over that you want to go over with the prospect is the My Final Wishes brochure. Alright, you really want to sell this. This is a good selling tool right here. And this is how I usually sell it. I'll say, alright, Ms. Jones, the next thing I want to go over with you is the My Final Wishes brochure. And every single person I show this to, they love it. Alright, now, I remember when my grandmother passed away, one of my aunties was saying, oh, my mom wanted this, that, and the third at her funeral. My other auntie was saying, no, my sister wanted this, that, and the third. And then my granddaddy was saying, no, my wife wanted this, that, and the third. You know, everybody was fighting over what my grandma wanted at her funeral. And it kind of caused conflict between the family. Really unnecessary conflict, okay? Everybody fighting over what my grandma wanted at her funeral. So what this is going to do is make sure it doesn't happen. It's going to be step-by-step instructions to your funeral the way that you want it, down to the T, all right? It starts off with a message to your family, to your beneficiary, all right? It says, dear whoever, all right? Then I just read this verbatim. I read it to them, all right? And I let them know, you sign it at the bottom. Next is going to be your personal information, Ms. Jones. Your name, your address, your city, your number, your parents' names, your spouse's names, any additional notes about your personal information. Next, it goes on to your funeral request. Funeral home of choice. You want your funeral to be public or private. Your service plans. You want it to be at the church or the funeral home. You want your casket to be open or closed. All right. You want to be buried or cremated. Religious preferences. Participate in organizations. Your weight. You're going to have one. If you want your viewing to be public or private. All right. Even down to your clothing preferences. All right. I love to make a joke right here, especially with the guys, and I'll say, whether you want to be buried in your Cowboys jersey, your tux, or a wife beater and some gym shorts. Mr. Jones, it's all up to you. All right, I just like to make a little joke. Or the ladies, I'll say whether you want to be married in your red dress, your wedding dress, or anything you like. All right, I really don't really make a joke with ladies, but the guys always do. It's just funny. All right, but it goes down to everything: wedding band, eyeglasses, any other accessories they want to be buried with, down to the T. All right, moving on. Memorial contribution, music preferences, religious passages, eulogy, who you want it done by, pallbearers, who you want carrying you. If you got a weak cousin, and you got some weak shoulders, you don't be plopped down on Main Street, say, don't let Mike carry me. All right, put that right there. All right, I like the joke right there too. Announcements, do you want it to be announced in any publications or newspapers? If so, which ones? All right, Ms. Jones, this is a very important one. Family members and people to be notified. All right, I like to tell a little story right here. Whenever my grandmother passed away, one of her best friends lived in Florida. All right, whenever people die, things got to happen like that. All right, and she called up, and it was 2 days before my grandma's funeral. She called up and found out my grandma was dead. She had no idea. And they grew up together, and it really burned her up because she was still working. She couldn't come on up and see my grandmother get buried. So maybe you have a friend or a relative or somebody far away that you want to be notified whenever you pass away. This would be a great place for you to put them. Now remember, Ms. Jones, when you pass away, make sure your beneficiary has the card. Okay, use the beneficiary's name. Make sure Chris has the card, and he calls legacy assurance first. Now, one thing you guys want to do, what I just did there, is it's like an assumptive close, okay? I say, since you're going to be a member of Legacy, when you're a member of Legacy, whenever you pass, since you'll be a member of Legacy, okay, you want to assume that they're going to be a member of Legacy, all right? It's kind of just like planting seeds in their head. All right, moving on to will and important documents and legal documents. I just go over it with them, just reading it. And one thing I like to tell folks is that it's very important that Chris knows where this is, because banks and insurance companies are not going to be calling Chris saying, hey, come get this money. He's got to go through the necessary procedures to get what you left him. All right, I like to let people know that. Last thing is recognition. People that made a difference in their lives, whether it was a coach, a teacher, a pastor, a neighbor, anybody. Just people they like to recognize in their life that made a difference. All right, guys, so this is really what we're selling. All right, the legacy assurance and the My Final Wishes, all right? This is what sets us apart. It's gonna make it really, really, really easy on the beneficiary. They're not gonna have to make 1,000 different decisions, all right? Everything's just gonna be cut, dry, laid out, and they're gonna be able to grieve properly and not have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff. All right, y'all. The next thing after you do the legacy and the My Final Wishes is just the flip chart presentation. All right, it's very, very simple, guys, and you really don't need to overthink this whole process because all you're really doing is reading it word for word. Remember, guys, we sell legacy and love, and the insurance just comes with it. So you want to get really, really good at explaining legacy and love. All right, legacy and the My Final Wishes. All right, remember, legacy, 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 legacy. I can't say that enough. All right. Now, the flip chart presentation is really, really simple. I just read it word for word, okay? The first slide says facts about your final expenses. All right, so I'll say, all right, Ms. Jones, the next thing I need to go over with you is a couple facts about your final expenses. All right, I'm not necessarily going to read this whole entire thing. I'm just going to tell you some key things that you really need to do. All right here, I'm just reading it. Death is the one thing you cannot predict, prevent, evade, or avoid. All right, now there comes a time to talk about the inevitable. Although it's not easy, it's a necessary part of life. You know, Ms. Jones, no one likes to talk about this stuff. It's really, really hard thing to talk about, and people just put it off and put it off and put it off. And what I've seen is that a lot of people put it off until it's just too late. So I commend you for sitting down here and talking with me about this, because I know it's really not an easy thing to do. Now, Ms. Jones, what this here is a traditional funeral, all right? These will be your flowers. This will be your hearse. You'll be laying in this casket, and this will be the headstone that little John will come see you at, all right? Now, what I did there was paint a mental picture of death, and that's something you guys really want to do, all right? You want them to feel like they're going to die tonight, so they buy today. You got to create a sense of urgency in these people, and that's what's going to make them buy, all right? Because you need a live check today, all right? This one says, if one of your loved ones passed away. Me personally, I say, Ms. Jones, if you passed away today, what would your loved ones be doing tomorrow? All right, if you passed away yesterday, what would your loved ones be doing tomorrow? All right, you want to personalize it a little bit more and make them really get to thinking. All right. This last part where it says loved ones often feel pressed for time to make immediate decisions. I let them know, you know, things happen like that. I remember when my grandmother died, my dad's mom, it wasn't even 10 minutes later, the doctor was asking my granddaddy who's going to come pick up her body. All right, so things happen like that, and you got to let them know. Moving on. The Social Security lump sum death benefit for those who qualify. I'm sure you know about that, don't you, Ms. Jones? She gonna say, yeah, I know all about that. I'm gonna say, it's a doggone shame, ain't it? And she gonna say, yeah, it's a shame. You know, I just remind them, this benefit has not increased in over 60 years, Ms. Jones. So since you've been 5 years old, it's only been $255. All right? Medical expenses. This is one thing that we really have to stress, all right? And this can really get you some bigger sales. All right, remember, final expenses is more than just the burial. All right, it's debt, it's medical expenses. There's a lot of things that come with final expenses that people don't think about, and medical bills is the biggest one. All right, 20% of deaths occur suddenly without warning, just like that. Heart attack, stroke, aneurysm, slip and fall. My mom's mom was actually coming home one day from bingo one Friday night. Drunk driver hit her head on and killed her and her 2 or 3 best friends. All right. Here one day, gone the next. You know, it happened to me, it can happen to you, Ms. Jones. 80% of deaths occur after prolonged illness, which eats away in their savings and personal assets, all right? My dad's mom, she laid up in the hospital. She actually had a stroke first. You know, they operated on her. She laid up in the hospital for a while. And even with her Medicare and her supplement, she ran up over a $10,000 medical bill, all right? And that bill didn't die with her. My granddaddy had to pay it, or they put a lien against his house. All right, and those are my stories, guys. I know that everyone's stories is different, and some of y'all might not have stories, and if you don't have a story, use somebody else's, all right? But a lot of us do have family members and friends that have passed away either in an accident or after a prolonged illness, all right? 45% of all lifetime medical expenses are incurred during a person's final illnesses. Do you agree with that, Ms. Jones? And they usually say yes, all right? So right here, I use her name. I say, Ms. Jones, everything you've saved and accumulated in your life can be gone, and yet there are still funeral expenses left to be paid by your loved ones. Would you be prepared for these financial burdens? And let them answer. Okay. So moving on, all right? All this is a price chart, basically showing you It's just an itemized price chart, basically showing you everything that comes along with the funeral. And I always let them know it's from the National Funeral Directors Association, 2012. I know it's 2018 now, so you can just imagine a lot of these prices are a lot higher. But since you'll be a member of Legacy, Ms. Jones, you'll be paying a fraction of these costs. All right. Now, what that is like it's like a trial close. All right. I'm assuming the close. I'm letting her know since you'll be a member of Legacy, you won't be paying it. All right. I'm assuming that she's going to be a member of Legacy when I'm done with her. All right. Remember, you should always be bringing up Legacy, 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 Legacy. Now, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to read every single one of these things, but all I do is I say professional service charges, $19.75. All right. You want to put a little different inflation on the cost. All right. One thing I do like to harp on is the transfer of remains, and let them know that if they pass away out of state or out of the country, it's going to be significantly higher to transport them wherever. All right. You're looking at $500 to $1,000 across each state line. You're looking at least $10,000 to get back into the country, Ms. Jones. All right. So just moving on, getting towards the end of the presentation here. What this is here, Ms. Jones, is a price chart showing you the rise in funeral costs through the years. 1970, you remember them days, don't you, Ms. Jones? She's gonna say, yeah. I'm gonna say, oh, some good old days, wasn't it? She's gonna say, yeah, start laughing or something. 1970, the price was $983. I say that $255 will put a dent in $983, Ms. Jones. Fast forward 2010, national average, $11,282. All right, and this ain't coming from me, it's coming from the National Funeral Directors Association. Fast forward 2015, Ms. Jones, also from the National Funeral Directors Association. The common cost of a funeral nationwide, $15,258, Ms. Jones. All right, and you won't believe what I've seen people pay for a funeral, Ms. Jones. You just won't believe it. Moving on. So I'm still just reading verbatim, all right? Since death is the one thing we cannot predict, prevent, or evade or avoid, we have to be prepared today, all right? To be prepared, we recommend you do two things. The first thing is arrange in advance. I'm going to furnish you with a memorial guide to aid you in pre-planning your final wishes, all right? Bringing up the My Final Wishes Planner. The second thing is fund in advance. I'm going to help you apply for a whole life insurance policy which will pay cash to John, all right? Make sure you're using the beneficiary's name. Has to be done, Ms. Jones. Don't make the most difficult time in John's life even harder. Today's decision is tomorrow's peace of mind, Ms. Jones. Now, these are the features of your policy. And like I said, guys, I'm just reading. Very, very simple. Don't overthink this. Permanent whole life insurance protection. 0 to 85 may apply. Insurance amounts available from $1,000 to $30,000. Accidental death benefit rider available. So if you pass away like my grandmother, it'll actually pay double. All right. Premiums don't increase. Benefits don't decrease. Policy cannot be canceled except for non-payment. It bills cash value. No medical exam required. No one's going to come here and prick you, swab you, make you pee in a cup. Whatever you tell me today, that's what we're going forth with. Most insurance policies go into full benefit immediately. Certain health conditions do require limited death benefit in the first 2 to 3 years. We pay most of our claims within 24 hours, Ms. Jones, and that's really, really important because once that time comes, your family's really going to need their money, all right? And they're going to have it. It's got to be done, Ms. Jones. The choice is whether you do it today or your loved ones are forced to do it later. And that's it, guys. It's just that simple. Just reading it. Just reading it, all right? Now, when it comes to the close, it's very, very simple and very, very easy. Now, there's two things you can do. If you have two devices, what we recommend you do is while you're showing your legacy video on one device, you're writing your quotes down on the other device, all right? Now, if you don't have two devices, no big deal. Just take out either your just take out the My Final Wishes book or legacy brochure and say, Ms. Jones, I need you to look over this brochure for me for a second while I draw up a couple figures for you. All right, and you draw up the figures, draw up the figures, draw up the figures. All right, and this is how you close, guys. Very, very easy. You say, all right, Ms. Jones, based off what you told me today, I've drawn up a couple figures that I think will best fit your need. I'm going to go over these figures with you. All right. This will be $8,000 if you died of natural causes, $16,000 if you die in an accident, all right? Always emphasize the larger amount. $10,000 if you die of natural causes, $20,000 if you die in an accident, $12,000 if you die of natural causes, $24,000 if you die in an accident. Now, Ms. Jones, what I need you to do is look these over for me and tell me which one best fits your budget on a monthly basis. Slide it to her and be quiet. don't say anything, okay? The first one who talks loses. Wait for her to say something, all right? Now, if she just picks one, you say, okay, great, Miss Jones. Let's just say it's $50, okay? You wrote out $50. You say, okay, great, Miss Jones. The $50 one, that's good for your budget, you said? Okay, awesome. So what I'm gonna need from you is a check for $47 made out to Senior Life Insurance Company, all right? Your total's $50. I'm gonna need a check for $47 made out to Senior Life Insurance Company. $3 will go to Legacy Assurance. I do not need a check from that, but it'll come out on the same day, all right? Don't make that $3 that's not on the check a big deal, all right? And remember, guys, do not include the Legacy on the check, the $3, okay? It's very important, all right? So, a few objections that can come up at close time, all right? There's really only 3. I want to think about it, I can't afford it, or they want to talk to someone else about it, all right? Now, they say they want to think about it, really, really easy to overcome, all right? I'll fold my stuff up, and I look at her real in her eyes, and I say, you know, Miss Jones, I understand that you want to think about it, but let me ask you something. You do know that you're going to die, right, Miss Jones? And she just say, yeah. I say, do you know when you're gonna die, Miss Jones? And she gonna say, no. I said, let me tell you something, Miss Jones. I've been doing this for a long, long time. And everybody that's ever said they're gonna call me back, or that they wanna think about it and they'll reach back out to me, guess what? They never call me back, all right? And if they do call me back, it's usually not them. It's usually a loved one calling me back, praying and wishing that their mom or their grandma or whoever took that policy out. And if it is them calling me back, their health has tremendously changed. Now, Ms. Jones, today you qualify for first aid coverage, all right? Tomorrow, that might not be the case. Tomorrow, you might not even be here, Ms. Jones, all right? So what you want to do is ensure your insurability, all right? Now, there's a reason you sent this card in, Ms. Jones, all right? There's a reason I'm here today. There's a reason we went through this whole presentation. And it all stems around the fact that you love your family and you want to do what's right for them. All right, so let's go ahead and get this in place so you have the peace of mind and the protection that you need. All right, now I'm going to ask you a question, Ms. Jones, and if the answer is yes, don't feel bad. Is it about the money? And remember, guys, it's always about the money, all right? If this thing was free, people, hey, we'd be giving away like hot cakes. But it's always about the money, okay? And she's going to say, yeah, it's about the money. And you say, no, Ms. Jones, I completely understand that, all right? You told me earlier that you're retired and you're on a fixed income. That's right? She's going to say, yeah. I'm saying, all right, Ms. Jones, I'm on a fixed income too, so I know how it is. All right, now you told me that you get your money on the 3rd of each month. Is that a better time for you to go ahead and start this plan? All right, and she says, yes, you go ahead and write it on up and you post date it to the 3rd, all right? Now we always want to try our best to get a live check, but sometimes that's just not the case. It doesn't happen, and then we got to post date things. It just is what it is, guys, all right? Now the second thing, they want to talk to someone else about it. I'll say, all right, Ms. Jones, you know, I understand that, but let me tell you something, Ms. Jones. I've been doing this for a long, long time, all right? And let me tell you what I've seen. The last thing that your children or anybody in your family wants to do is talk about you dying, all right? They're going to put it off and put it off and put it off, and it's just never going to get done, Ms. Jones, all right? I mean, think about it. You were John's best friend growing up. You know, you're the first person John ever met. John knew you before he even knew himself. I mean, you took care of him when he couldn't even take care of himself. The last thing he wants to talk about is you dying. All right, Ms. Jones? And let me be real with you. It's not John's responsibility that you get it done. It's your responsibility that you get it done for John. All right? You know, there's a reason that you called into the TV station. I mean, there's a reason I'm here today. There's a reason you went through all this. All right? It all stems around the fact that you love John and you want to do what's best for John. All right? So let's go ahead and put this in place today, Ms. Jones, so you have the peace of mind and the protection you need. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Ms. Jones, and don't feel bad if the answer is yes. Is it about the money? All right? I always go back to that because it's always about the money, guys. Remember that. All right? Now, if they can't afford it, I kind of just go with the first thing, all right? Like I want to think about it, objection rebuttal, all right? And if they can't afford to do it, they can't afford not to do it, all right? Something's better than nothing, all right? And if you got to bump it down a little bit, bump it down a little bit, all right? Now, we try to keep our premiums between $40 and $75. Now, remember, they're 69 and below, you need to be quoting 8, 10, and 12. 70 and higher, you need to be quoting 3, 5, and 7. All right. Now that's on your 10 steps of making a sale. Make sure you guys get that 10 steps of making a sale and just kind of follow through like a checklist. All right. In closing out, guys, one thing I want to say is that you do not have to have the most perfect presentation and be a master at overcoming objections to do well in this business, guys. Sales is a numbers game. The more presentations you do, the more prospects you get in front of, the more sales you're going to make. All right, don't get so overly focused on having the best presentation in the world and knowing exactly what to say, when to say it, how to say it. That'll come to you guys with experience, all right? And remember, you're the professional. You have a license. The client has no idea what you're supposed to say, all right? So all that stuff in your head about doing a perfect job and knowing everything, just throw that out, guys. The only way you're really going to get good at this is just doing it and doing it and doing it, guys, all right? You want to get leads every single week, and you want to be pushing at least 10 presentations a week. The goal is really 15, guys, all right, if you're full-time in this business. So that's what I want to say, guys. Sales is a numbers game. Let's just get out here and do it. All right, that's all it comes down to. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, my name is Michael Burns. My dad's Louis Burns Jr. If you guys ever need anything, feel free to reach out to me. All right, my personal cell phone number is 803-665-6511. It doesn't matter whose team you're on, where you're at. If you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to call me, man. Reach out to me, guys, and I'm here for you, okay? We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you at the top.